keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch the scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio Show, once again with your host Nick Bernabe here on ucy.tv and the antimedia.org/radio. Really happy to be back alive and well on this November 8th, 2017. What is it today, Wednesday? I can't believe it's already almost 2018. It feels like this year just began, and of course it's been, craziest year news-wise since we started doing this show. Me and DB started doing this thing probably like 4 years ago or so. This year's just been a crazy whirlwind, of course, with Trump and all the developments happening around the world. A lot of the stuff we've been talking about for years on this show, as far as the replacement of the United States as the most powerful country in the world. It's really interesting to see that stuff come to bear fruit in these recent months and becoming so obvious, and so many people, so many countries around the world starting to realize, starting to hedge against the dollar and make their own dealings that go outside of the petrodollar system. It's really interesting. Between that and all this just ridiculousness going on with politics, it's been a whirlwind of a year. Anyway, we missed Monday over some technical issues. I'm sure you guys heard about that the internet outage that was hitting a lot of the country. I guess part of our servers for the show were affected by that, so we missed our show on Monday, despite having a show planned. Anyway, that just means we got more ground to cover. So, with all that being said, let's get started here. Let me introduce my panel. I've got my longtime co-host DB Schwartz on the line. What's up, man?
Not a lot, man. Just, I guess, laying back and watching what's going on and seeing a lot of stuff I haven't seen before happen. I never thought in my lifetime that what's going on in Saudi Arabia would happen, but if you're not aware of what's going on, you should educate yourself and understand it's going to change the whole world.
Yeah, the Saudi thing, if you're not up to speed on that, go over to the antimedia.org and check out our Saudi coverage. A lot of good stuff. A good article up yesterday from Darius, who's our Middle East correspondent, kind of breaking down what's going on there. A lot of it has to do with these guys trying to, Saudi Arabia is dealing with an economic crisis. Nobody really talks about it much. But there was a coordinated devaluation of oil that went on, and that's part of the reason why Venezuela is in the situation it's in. You guys remember the The Russian ruble almost collapsed. This was like what, 2 years ago or so. The ruble almost collapsed, and when all the oil prices really went down, and this was kind of like a coordinated attack, I guess, to go after some of the global oil players that were getting out of line, like Iran, Venezuela, Russia, and the U.S. and Saudi Arabia kind of teamed up and said, all right, we're going to smash these guys, and a lot of these countries created their whole budget, their whole economy is built around oil. And so if you could really lower the price of it, you could really mess up their budgets, right? And so it was kind of a coordinated attack. But unfortunately for Saudi Arabia, they made some other miscalculations on foreign policy. They had that quagmire in Syria, which I don't know. I don't even know how much it cost Saudi Arabia for all that Syrian civil war stuff. Must have been in the billions of dollars. It probably got a bunch of guys, probably of their bunch of their security forces probably end up getting killed over there. And then of course what's going on in Yemen and a bunch of the other proxy wars that Saudi Arabia is involved in. They've kind of had the same luck the United States has had recently, where they just don't win. They've been betting and backing up and siding with proxy wars, and they keep on picking the losing side. And so Saudi Arabia has really gone through a beating, economically speaking. And so a lot of that, according to the analysis that Darius did for us on the anti-media, is, a lot of this recent purge has to do with them trying to figure out their economic situation, confiscate some money. I guess $800 billion has been kind of confiscated by the Saudi royal family from these people who they're purging. Some of these guys, a lot of these guys are like billionaires, part of the royal family and that kind of stuff.
That may be too low, Nick. I was reading today; it's more like $2 trillion, and these princes are the guys that are basically funding NGOs around the entire world, including in the U.S. So that's what I mean. People are already seeing it. What this is going to do? It's going to change Hollywood. It's going to change the NFL. It's going to change the NBA. It's going to change everything you consume. Is going to change. Within the next week or two, the tune's going to change. You're not even going to understand what's going on.
Interesting, man. Yeah, Saudi Arabia has its kind of tentacles in all kinds of different industries, including...
You have to understand how far up they were America's butt, though. Like, those tentacles controlled us. The puppet was controlling us, and now we pulled the hand out of the puppet and put it back up the puppet's butt. Pretty much. Because I'll tell you why it is. They only have oil, and we don't need it anymore because we can frack all our oil now. We're actually fracking, and I know DAPL, we were against it. I get it. But in the reality of the world right now, before we go to electric vehicles, because it's there, but it's like it's a decade away, due to lobbying, because we know they want to squeeze every gallon out they can get. But what fracking did was killed Saudi Arabia's industry. We don't need them anymore. We don't need Venezuela either. We told Nick, what you said earlier in the show about Venezuela. California was Venezuela's customer, and they don't need to buy oil from there anymore. So now Venezuela is broke, and that's what's going on all around the world. All these OPEC countries are getting it stuck right back up their butts.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm going to introduce Jake Anderson to the program.
On the note of hands up butts, let's introduce Jake.
Just because of that, anyway, Jake, our awesome, amazing journalist and co-host and radio host. What's up, man? How you been?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. So I was thinking what my hot take is going to be, and I was thinking a lot about the Hollywood thing and the sexual harassment. And I think it interconnects to a lot of different things. And, what this is doing basically with all of these people coming out and reporting these, despicable crimes it's basically popularizing whistleblowing. And I think, what we're seeing now is basically a critical mass of people deciding that we're not going to tolerate corruption anymore. Now, in this particular situation, it's sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape, which of course are all just absolutely just the grisliest of crimes. But imagine if this model were exported to other industries and other aspects of global commerce. And what if you had people coming out in the same way that they're coming out with this and reporting all manner of impropriety and corruption around the world? It would change a lot of different things. And so it's interesting to think, maybe we don't need to wait for WikiLeaks to, reveal the latest cable about, foreign corruption or the DNC corruption. What if people just started coming forth and making the world a better place by not remaining silent anymore on things that are going on? And what if, when we found out that a Yemeni family was killed or their kids were killed from a drone strike, maybe we just said that, this isn't acceptable. And if we started treating all of the horrible things that are going around the world with the same level of outrage that we are what's going on in Hollywood, and started personalizing it a little bit more. I think people need to start taking it a little bit more personal when they find out their tax dollars went to fund a drone strike that killed a completely innocent child. And, in a country, Yemen, which we don't even understand the legal justification for why we're even bombing over there anymore. The Congress people can't even tell you what the legal justification is for it anymore, because it was.
These idiots don't even know what countries we're in. I mean, when they, there was that attack recently in Niger, and some of these guys, including the guys that are like foreign policy hawks, so these guys that want to go bomb everybody, they're completely surprised that, whoa, we're in Niger. In Niger, we didn't even know that. That's crazy. Yeah, dude, we got like thousands of troops there, and our people are dying, and our bombs are killing people, and we're electioneering. Talk about, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jake, but talk about electioneering and people still in an uproar about, the Russian meddling and stuff, which I'm happy to see. We're starting to see evidence and proof of what actually went on. And of course, we're not talking about election hacking. We're not talking about them actually hacking into election equipment. There is more of a case being built up around the idea that the WikiLeaks documents possibly originated from a Russian hacker. Again, still unconfirmed stuff. But it's interesting that we're in an uproar about that, but yet we're in Niger with troops, and we don't. Our own government doesn't even know that we're there. And it turns out we're also in like the majority of African countries. Nobody even fucking knows it. Like, ask anybody on the street, hey, which country is the United States in, and what country do we have military bases in Africa? And people are gonna be like, Africa, what are you talking about? And if they're really adept, they'll be like, well, maybe Libya, because we recently overthrown Gaddafi and stuff. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, we got people in Mali, we got people in Niger, we got people in Somalia, we got people in Nigeria, we got people in all the, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Like, they're not going to tell you, yeah, we got people in all these countries. No, they're not, because...
And they're there for the iPhone X.
Our own members of Congress apparently don't even know that we have fucking troops stationed all over Africa. And honestly, do people even care? Like, do people even care?
They don't care.
And what if that was
guys get killed in Niger? Are they actually like, well, what the hell are we doing in Niger?
They don't care. Dude, the only reason we're over there is because we've been trying to cut China off from resource base forever, and now as a result, China said we're not going to give you any of our rare earth minerals. So now we're over in God knows where in Africa trying to mine this stupid shit to make the next goddamn iPhone.
Yeah, and imagine this. Imagine if in our public education or private whatever education, what if that were protocol now, where we start in a responsible consumer society, these products that we're using, these iPhones and all that, kids as they're growing up would be educated about how the resources behind these phones are killing people. And what if that were part of our education? What if kids started learning about how their carbon footprint were affecting the world. And to a certain extent, that's been happening now. But what if we need to start educating kids as they're growing up about the financial system, about the wars that are going on, and about how they've been born into a system where they're complicit with these war crimes because of these consumer demands. I guarantee you these next few generations are going to be much more enlightened because the information is out there now with the internet and with social media, and people are going to start really thinking about, this matrix we've grown up in, and they're not going to be happy, and they're not going to be happy with their grandparents and their great-grandparents. They're going to say, what the hell were you guys doing? What the hell were you guys thinking?
It's already happening, Jake. I saw a thing yesterday. It was a meme of a kid's actual text messages with his teacher that's now in jail, all right? So the kid's 13, his teacher's who knows how old, 25, and she sent him nudes and said, I want to meet you and suck your dick or some stupid shit like that, right? Because there's all these pedos now in school. And this 13-year-old wrote back, I don't care, go away. And then he gave his phone to his mom, and she called the cops, and now the teacher's in jail. So Here's the thing. There's a backlash going on to the extreme left right now and the generation following them that are becoming conservatives. And I wonder if people realize that so much to the left creates a reaction to now where kids are coming out and saying, dude, all this peak libertarianism is way too much freedom.
Yeah, I'm not sure I get the.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, sure. I think it's more of. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think it's less of a. I think some of these political boundaries are starting to blur together for a lot of kids, and I think on some categories, certain kids are not going to be. They're not going to change from liberal to conservative, but on other issues, yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a reaction.
What is liberal though, besides just socially liberal?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think the social liberal aspect is probably the driving factor of what's keeping people voting Democrat.
It's the only thing, because they both support the military budget.
Right, and of course the fiscal side of liberals is so tied up in globalist neoliberal policies that there is definitely a reaction. There is definitely a movement away from neoliberal trade policies that are going on right now. I think that's undeniable.
Well, and a lot of it, like what I'm realizing too, is that like a lot of this extreme like SJW stuff, and then at the same time a lot of this extreme like alt-right stuff, it's actually just cooked up in like troll rooms, and a lot of it is just hoaxes. And this is the thing that I find really interesting. Like, you guys obviously, we're here tonight. We all survived the Antifa apocalypse, right? There was like Antifa super soldiers that were going to be like beheading white people. I guess I'm safe, but I was worried about you, Jake, and I was worried about DB. I thought maybe Antifa super soldiers were going to decapitate.
Dude, I was like trembling in fear, man. Like,
yeah,
I was so scared.
Leave your house. You're like you're in your attic, like armed up and just ready.
I was tucked in bed with like my AK-47 RPG. Had my Sherman in the back with the bunker all gassed up. Dude, I'm ready. Like, I can't wait for SJW apocalypse.
Look, dude, a lot of that stuff.
Some of the bitches that just want social equality. How dare they threaten
those sons of bitches? How dare they try to take the old white people's money?
Look, a lot of this stuff that, like, I think a lot of this perceived polarity, a lot of the, like, really extreme, like, really stupid shit you see online, like, what I'm starting to realize is that a lot of that shit is just fake. Like, it's just cooked up on, like, 4chan by these stupid-ass trolls. Like, there was another campaign recently, like, okay, first of all, the Antifa apocalypse thing was a total hoax. There was a very small protest that happened that day by an organization which is the Revolutionary Communist Party rebranding of, what was it? What were they calling it? Resist Fascist, or what was it called? Something, Resist Fascism or some shit. I can't remember the name of their new organization. But it's a rebranding of an extremely unpopular activist organization. Go to any activist event has a coalition built in any major city, and you're going to see these guys, and you're going to find out the Revolutionary Communist Party is pretty much unliked by most of the other activists because they're obnoxious, and they always try to run shit. No one likes them, so basically they're not influential at all. So this whole
it's called Refuse Fascism.
Refuse Fascism. There you go. And it's a rebranding of the RCP basically, and so this whole thing was just a very small little march. In fact, our friend Fort Fisher showed up in D.C. because he covers D.C. politics and D.C. activism and stuff for his website News to Share. And there was 3 people at the protest. 3 people. This Antifa apocalypse in Washington D.C. 3 people showed up. So it was an elaborate hoax, basically cooked up on 4chan and perpetuated by these crazy bullshit right-wing alt-right sites. Like, I don't even know how people still read this stuff. Things like Your Newswire and shit. It's like a total It's like as if you turned 4chan into a fake news website. That's like Your Newswire.
Yeah, I mean the real Antifa, black bloc groups, the people who are actually could actually fuck some shit up are not so dumb that they're gonna fall into this trap set by the alt-right of they're not gonna make it that easy. I mean, there's a massive strategic movement going on among the more enlightened Antifa groups, and they're constantly strategizing, and they're really not evil. I consider myself anti-fascist. I don't know if I necessarily would call myself part of Antifa, but I really would advise people who have really negative attitudes towards Antifa to actually look up some of their actual beliefs and to actually look at the lineage of where Antifa actually came from, because there's actually a very pronounced movement that started very soon after World War II or even during World War II. And I think people have the wrong idea about Antifa and what it stands for.
But we can all agree that we hate communists more than anything, and we'd kill them on sight, right?
I hate fascists more than I hate communists.
That's silly, because communists have killed like 20 or 30 times the amount of people, so...
Yeah, but
Mao and Stalin, so and they're still killing people around the world, communist governments, so...
You guys are basically just fascist by another name, you know what I mean? That's what most of these national political movements are. It's oligarchy with another name. That's, it's like, it's like China right now. It's like, okay, you guys, we call ourselves communists, but we all know that China's got more billionaires now than the United States. It's not a communist country. It's a oligarchy with a different name on it.
Venezuela is a communist country.
Now the difference is, Venezuela is socialist.
They were socialist until the military started killing people. Now they're communist.
Yeah, the thing is though is that most of these states are they're statists, right? The difference though between fascism and communism is that a communist individual is part of his ideology most likely isn't involved in genocide and mass murder, unlike many fascists are advocates of genocide. Now,
but if you seize the means of production, it has to be violently, right?
Is mass murder a side effect of a communist government? Yeah, that's probably true. But the thing.
Just answer me.
Apparently, mass murdering. It seems like fascism is part of their ideology is to like kill a lot of people, ethnic cleansing.
Just answer me this though.
What they've been wanting to do. That's why fascists haven't killed as many people as communists, is because they are absolute lunatics and people have stood up and stopped them from happening. Communists are a little bit trickier with their tactics and they blur their categories a little bit more. So left-wing governments have absolutely been responsible for millions of deaths across the world. That there's no disputing that whatsoever.
The thing is, they function identically. It's just that they have, like you said, varying degrees of success, because fascism is tied to nationalism. It's kind of like a release valve for a society, whereas the other one's a culling, dude, and that's the worst thing. Communism equals culling. Communism equals purges, and it's always preceded by gun confiscation. So I don't know why people think it would be any different here. It would just be the USSA, the Bolshevik Revolution 2.0.
Yeah, and then whatever it is they sell you on, whatever. The problem is with many like revolutionary movements and stuff is that people get sold on some idea, and it's like, oh, we're going to do this, and this time it's going to be different, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to establish a republic, which is basically every single fucking country in the world is a republic, supposedly, in name anyway. They call themselves republics, and then guess what? The oligarchy is back in power, and then all that energy and activist momentum is diffused. And that's part of the thing that pisses me off about the whole Trump the whole Trump resistance. These guys have already gassed themselves out like a few weeks after election day with that, all these marches and all this shit, fucking, wearing the pussy hats and all that stuff. Where are they now? Like, where are they now that, Trump is dropping bombs on Syria? Of course, that happened months ago, but still, where were they then? Where are they with this march up to war with North Korea? Where is all the quote-unquote resistance? Like, where are the people that were trying to, put a wrench in this, march towards war or whatever it is they think Trump's trying to do?
Dude, they just won the New Jersey governorship. They put in a Goldman Sachs banker. They won. McResistance.
You guys want to talk about these elections? I honestly didn't even watch it.
They were pathetic, dude. First of all, Chris Christie is a bulbous sack of piss shit, and he should have been gone a long time ago. And I can't believe they didn't recall him when he made a bridge close down just to piss off a rival. He probably killed somebody in an ambulance that couldn't get by that bridge construction. I'm sure of it.
Chris Christie's out, right?
He's done, dude. And his lieutenant governor ran, and she got killed by that guy who's a Goldman Sachs banker. So that's how much people hated Christie. They put in this dude who's like basically Chris Christie.
Well, it sounds like a pretty efficient way that Goldman Sachs is able to administer our government.
Jesus. I mean, that's the thing, is people think they're winning, but they're not. You can't replace one master with another and not be a slave.
The whole thing is that you replace one idiot with the next, and it's kind of like this Republican-Democrat thing, and it's like, all the right-wing people that hated Obama are like, oh, I'm so glad that Trump's elected, and Trump's going to be so much different, and he's going to be awesome. And then Trump comes in, does almost identical, basically the same exact policies that would have been carried out had Obama been still in office, if not slightly worse. And all the people are like, well, the only reason Trump can't do anything is because of those evil Democrats in Congress not letting him do his thing, and vice versa. And when Trump finally gets out of office, which probably won't be for another 7 years, they're going to elect some Democrat, and the next Democrat, they're going to say, oh, this guy's going to end all these wars, and he's going to do all this, and he's going to do that, and blah, 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 blah. And he gets in office, and then he just does the same thing Trump was doing. It's a waste of time and energy, in my opinion. I mean, it gives you a false sense of accountability. It's like, oh yeah, we finally, we don't have Obama telling us what to do, so now we have Trump telling us what to do, and that's like so much better, right? It's like, wait, how does that make any sense? How does it make any sense that you got rid of Chris Christie and then you put another Goldman Sachs guy in charge of your state? How does that make any fucking sense? And then all the people who are pissed off at Chris Christie, now they're at home right now like, wow, this is so awesome. We got rid of Chris Christie. We're doing shit good. We're doing it right. And then Goldman Sachs is just sitting there like, yeah, bitches, you're really doing it right. Like, we got you again. Like, how does anybody think that this is something to celebrate? I don't get it. Like, it's, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of people, I guess especially young people, barely snapping out of this, who are going from like apathy towards action, right? And this is like the what do you want to call them? The Bernie Sanders generation or something? I mean, these are like the young people who are like
They are Gen X.
young millennials that kind of went from not really giving a shit about politics to saying, "Oh shit, Bernie Sanders is pretty cool," to saying, "Oh shit, the political system is completely terrifying," and the media totally crushed Bernie Sanders' chances of disputing the election. And then now they're like, people are now looking for something. They're not latching onto the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is in huge trouble.
They're dead.
They're not latching onto the Republican Party. I don't think that they really care for Trump very much. People are out there looking to do action, and I think people are so frustrated that they're willing to just say, you know what, like it's kind of the Trump phenomenon where it's like, as long as we can disrupt it, just disrupt the political system until something has to eventually give. And I think I feel like that's like the general direction of the trend of the political trends in this country. It's not trending towards Democrat. It's not trending towards Republican. I don't think it's trending towards nationalism, and I don't think it's trending towards extreme SJWism. I think those are polarities that are surfaced online that seem a lot bigger than they actually are. Those groups of people are actually very small. I think most people are actually just drifting into this direction like, shit, this shit is not very good. We need to do something, and doing the same shit we've been doing has kind of not been working. So I think people are in this disruption mood where they're just like, let's just disrupt this thing. Donald Trump was a strong, hint at what's going on with that. Brexit, it's a global thing. It's every nation, it seems like, that is under this neoliberal kind of economic system. They're all experiencing the same frustration, where they're all just like, well, fuck, I mean, it's not really, really bad, but it's been sucking, and you guys, a few people got super rich, and everyone else is pretty much getting poor. And so people are like, they're not to the point where they're ready to pick up arms and start some kind of revolution, but they're at the point where they want to bring a revolution to the voting box. And I think that's why people kind of made a big deal out of this stuff that happened just during the election yesterday, and I guess the Democrats more or less swept most of a bunch of those elections, and I saw some people celebrating and stuff, and I guess I understand that, but at the same time, we have to get past this idea that we can release our angst in the voting box. That's not how this works. If we keep saying, okay, well, I'm super not agreeing with what's happening in this country, I want to do something about it, something needs to be done, I'm super upset, and then you just go cast a vote, and then you just release all that energy, and you're just like, okay, cool, I'm just going to chill out for like 2 years and then check in and see what's going on after that. That's not how we solve this, and that's why voting, to me, like, the democratic process, I know it was probably invented with good intentions and all that stuff, but the way it functions, I think, is kind of a false hope, that it gives people like this way to release any kind of, frustrations they have with the political system and kind of cast a vote and kind of wash their hands of it. Vote all you want, but just voting is not going to change anything, unfortunately.
We're going to see the birth of in the next 2 decades, there's going to be, I think, a movement towards transhumanist agorism. And I think both of those trends will start independently, and then eventually I think they will converge. And I think a lot of people that don't really see a home in any current political party are going to see a lot of growth in those fields, because our life is about to be just overwhelmed with artificial intelligence and deep learning, automated systems. And I think with that, I think the alienation that most people feel is going to hit a peak. And then from that alienation, I think people are going to start reinvesting back into communities again. And with that will come a lot more self-reliance. And I think you're going to see a natural movement towards transhumanist-based agorism, when people are able to take the means of production much more seriously into their own hands, I think you're going to see a huge growth of that. And I think it's going to naturally decentralize a lot of global economics.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. The entire premise of economics, from capitalism and socialism, it has to do with the means of production and whether they're privately owned or collectively owned or state owned, right? Or in most situations you have a hybrid of all three of those things, which is basically every country in the world. What we're talking about here is a radical decentralization of the means of production. The underlying foundational aspects of economy are changing right now. I mean, we're going to see like you were saying, Jake, where individuals will have the means to produce many, if not most things. And one of the technologies I'm talking about here is 3D printing, and how that's going to like radically change economy, economics, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, green technologies. I just saw this company out of Australia. It's called Power Ledger, and it's using blockchain technology for people like in apartments. They have like in Australia a lot of apartment buildings and stuff have solar panels, and there's a new technology where you can peer-to-peer trade green energy between apartments and cut out the middleman, which is the electric company. And so like it's like we're talking about an extreme, and then of course let's not forget, hopefully you guys have been watching Bitcoin lately. It hit like $7,800 last night, dude. Bitcoin just like completely like blowing up.
When do you cash out, Nick?
Blockchain. I cashed a little bit out at like 7,700.
But is there a point where you're gonna just dump it because you think it'll crash?
I mean, maybe in like 20 years, Bitcoin will be replaced by something.
Yeah.
God, you think it's going to go that long?
I'm waiting at least 5 years because I've heard that it could. A lot of people think it could ultimately hit 100K.
Yeah, but again, this Bitcoin is only the most prominent use of blockchain technology, which is really the revolutionary technology behind Bitcoin.
Yep.
That technology.
What if they shut it off, though?
That technology is going to wind up replacing the banking systems and creating peer-to-peer decentralized banking. Like, so we're talking about a complete transformation of our economy. And you know, I know we've been worried about the automation of all the jobs, where you wind up having this kind of dystopian future where every job is done by robots and human beings are no longer, basically are mass unemployed and taken care of by the government. Well, of course that's a dystopian situation, because then you're going to have this terrible despotic government that has every single person on the teat and can basically control everybody like a puppet, because everyone relies on the government for income, for food and shelter and all that stuff. That's the dystopian future. The utopian one is where each person has access to artificial intelligence, decentralized technology, decentralized means of production, where basically everybody finally, these technologies could finally be the thing that gives everyone true equality, economic, personal liberty, basically, and also create much more prosperity for the individual, because then you're taking away, you're undermining all these pyramids structures in the current economy, which is based on like hierarchy and all that kind of stuff, and you're flipping it over and you're basing the economy on individuals. I mean, this stuff is going to make the whole world a different place if we are able to do it and keep it out of that, keep the assholes from getting control over it. We're all going to be in a much different situation in a very short time. So,
and I think there'll be some boom bust cycles there. Like you said, I think there will be some phases where, there are autocratic uses of blockchain and whatnot. And to answer your question, DB, I think they can manipulate certain cryptocurrencies and whatnot, but the underlying blockchain technology is especially like with the Ethereum smart contract.
There's not a backdoor that they can fuck up.
I'm not really sure, about backdoors in the
who developed it? Was it a Japanese guy?
Well, each blockchain technology has its own kind of, special kind of.
They're all unique, and then also they're open source. So all the code is available for scrutiny. So if there is I'm sure there are bugs found in there's bugs found.
But could something happen that if there was a global reset, would this digital currency be made worthless? Is that a risk?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think how it works is, are you asking whether all the information would be scrapped?
Well, I want to get on board, but at the same time, I'm buying silver because I can feel it. So, speaking, not that you guys can give out financial advice, none of us are qualified. What prevents something that's not real from becoming not real?
Well, it's. God, that's a good question. It's first like you're thinking like an EMP going off, like it would knock it offline, but then eventually, you have to assume that.
Would you have paper records, or how would it work?
Yeah, there are offline cold storage of this stuff, so it would come back. The data would come back. A lot of money would be lost, and it'd be. If an EMP goes off, the whole global system is going to be fucked for years anyway. But there's, from what I've read, and I'm pretty conservative on investing, but the blockchain, there's few things more certain right now that the blockchain technology is going to grow exponentially within the next few years.
I just don't understand it. Like I know riding the wave is smart. I'm sure, Nick, you've done pretty well because I know you probably got in a couple of years ago. But if this wave is still there to ride, my question is, we're like physical, right? And we need like tangible stuff. And if something fucks up, at some point, do you just cash out all your Bitcoin and buy? Would you buy like a robot to send to go do a job that it would bring you home a paycheck? Would that be a better use? I'm thinking for the future.
Yeah, that's a good question. Future. I don't know.
Look, I think cryptocurrencies have a really good chance of replacing the world's banking systems. And I think Bitcoin offers a really good chance to create a genuinely peer-to-peer banking system where we can actually cut the assholes out of the equation and really provide a financial system that works for us. I think that's what the allure of Bitcoin is. Speaking of it in that sense, it costs a lot of money to create one Bitcoin. It costs most miners more or less break even. The way that they actually gain money, I guess, would be holding on to the Bitcoin and then selling it at a later date, at a profit or whatever. But it's kind of like, it's of course subjective value, right? So if somebody, let's say you make a truck, right? How much does it take for Ford to go make a truck for an F-150? Let's say it costs them $18,000, right? To a person like me who, let's say I need a truck, I would say, yeah, you know what, that truck's probably worth $18,000-$20,000. For a person who's like, no, I don't need a truck, well, that truck is not really worth anything to them, other than what they can maybe, if they really had to, take it and resell it. And that's the same way Bitcoin really is. It takes a lot of money to create a Bitcoin. People see the value in it. That's why people are willing to spend the money to create it. And even people who don't want it can accept it and then trade it in for, fiat currency right away. So that's what gives it its value. It's subjective value, and it's backed by, it costs a lot of money to make one. So whoever's mining them has to invest a lot of money into mining it. So that's what gives it value.
what is mining? Because like I saw that McAfee has now some kind of thing that's all they do. So what the hell is that?
It's like solving complex equations and stuff like that, and they use it. The mining is used to make it. It's like a confirmation. So like, imagine when you use like a debit card. You know, when you use a debit card to get gas or whatever, it takes like 10 seconds to like for the point of sale device to communicate with, you know, Visa or whoever is running the credit card network, and then they communicate towards it, and then it communicates back and says, yeah, that guy, he has enough money to buy that $10 worth of gas or whatever, and then the transaction is approved. So with Bitcoin, basically the miners are the guys putting up the computing power to confirm transactions. So basically, when you do a Bitcoin transaction, it has to have like 6 confirmations, or depending on how you do it, it has to have a certain amount of confirmations. The people offer up computing power to do the confirmations, and by doing enough confirmations, after a certain amount of problems, after they solve a certain amount of problems with a certain amount of computing power, they get awarded 1 Bitcoin. And so basically what it is, it's kind of like a digital, it's like a ownerless peer-to-peer digital financial system, where it's like debit cards and stuff, except there's no Visa in between you and your bank. It's just from person to person, and therefore you're kind of cutting out the middleman. And because Bitcoin itself, blockchain technology is separate from Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a finite number of coins that are ever going to be available, where it's going to be like 20 million max. That's why the price keeps going up, because people keep putting money into the system. There's a finite number that can be created, so the value of it just keeps going up. On the other hand, there's other cryptocurrencies, like, let's say, for instance, PIVX, which would be popular with people trying to do anonymous transactions, people trying to buy stuff on the dark web, people trying to not wanting anyone to know how their money is being spent. They can use something called PIVX. PIVX is a cryptocurrency that is like a fork of Dash, where there isn't a set number that can be created. It can be there's unlimited inflation, so there can be an unlimited number of these coins created, unlike Bitcoin, which is limited at 21 million. So there's already other like forms of digital crypto cash going around.
There's hundreds of altcoins.
Yeah, they're different than Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin may be more of like a gold type of investment where you buy it and hold on to it. There's other ones where you buy them and you want to use them for digital money and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different applications already out there for this stuff, and it's really all it is a more justified version of financial system, where it's more peer-to-peer and less pyramid scheme. And that's really what the blockchain can be used for, and it can be used for a bunch of other stuff, but that's really the main function of it right now. And so this technology is going to change everything. The artificial intelligence, the means of production becoming decentralized with 3D printing, this is going to change everything around. And at the same time, couple that with the fact that China is becoming the most powerful country in the world, and the U.S. is running into a problem where their petrodollar is starting to lose confidence. Countries are starting to turn their back on the petrodollar. I mean, we're dealing in the United States especially with some very, very, very interesting scenarios that are going to be playing.
You mean the Aramco, Nick?
Yeah, what the hell is going to happen what the hell is going to happen to us as a superpower when people see that the petrodollar is no longer as valuable? I mean, I don't see how. I mean, we're spending all this money on the military. It seems like we need to be spending some money on creating an actionable plan for the next global economy.
We're just going to use our military to enforce Bitcoin, Jake.
Yeah.
Hey, a quick point about the altcoin. DB, there's one you should look into. It's called Nexus, and it's a blockchain that's based on basically. I don't know if I'll be able to explain it, but it's basically based on. It'll be based in quantum computing, and a lot of people that are investing in the space race are investing in it because the idea behind Nexus is using basically running the transactions through a space quantum network, I can't fucking explain it. Just look up Nexus altcoin.
That's why I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm gonna probably be a human being for my natural life and die. I'm not gonna transhuman, so I can't see myself benefiting from this stuff. Like, I feel like I should just buy silver and real estate, wait for the collapse. I have tangible assets. Fuck all you guys that don't. You guys now have Bitcoin that's worth shit.
No,
but
dude.
I could be totally wrong. I don't know.
Well, look, if you had invested like $100 in Bitcoin like 5 years ago, you'd have like $100 million.
But that's what I mean. Is the boom gone, or should I buy in? Is there another boom?
It won't. I don't think Bitcoin. I don't think there'll be another boom.
Should I just buy all Ethereum? Shouldn't I just buy something starting then?
I don't think that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't think the parabola will be as high moving forward for Bitcoin. But if you find, it's like a penny stock. If you find the next one that's about to take off, you can make an incredible amount of money. That's why I think the best investment in cryptocurrency is just spreading out a lot of money over a lot of different penny stock cryptocurrencies and just seeing which one takes off.
I also think that Bitcoin is still game for an unlimited growth. I can't even forecast the maximum. Because
what about AI traders though of cryptocurrency that are coming in? Because like in my industry now, we have AI coming in already. Like next year, it's going to be AI client care, and it's like, dude. Like, my whole job is just going to be, like, showing up to shit and being a human being. All the other work's going to be done for me, even the, like, admin. So
that's going to be that's going to happen to fucking everyone, man. It's going to happen to journalists. It's going to happen.
It's crazy. It's like, won't AI just crush any human investor?
Well, I think that's part of the singularity that's approaching is we can't even really comprehend what the future landscape is going to be like, because we could literally see a new species of intelligence arise on the Earth.
DB, they already have bots that trade crypto.
So shouldn't we be buying those guys that do cryptocurrency only?
There's already Wall Street bots, dude, that trade on Wall Street. You can, if you're rich enough, you can buy a algorithm, basically a software algorithm type of thing that will go on and it'll make however you program it to be, it'll make trades for you. And these things have been proven to be pretty damn efficient.
Dude, this is just getting to the point where it's ridiculousness, and people should now demand not just UBI, but a UBI that makes you middle class. That should be a demand for every single human being on Earth. If you're not a criminal, degenerate, pervert piece of crap, if you're a good person and you're willing to try to learn a new skill, you should have middle class for free. House, car,
that would
food, everything.
That's a communist ideal. I mean, that's a social.
No, it's not, because the technology makes it free. It's not people getting something for nothing. It's being made for literally nothing. Well, literally nothing.
I'm very, very inspired to see what the human race can come up with when people's lives aren't mired just in survival and sustenance.
You should only work for luxury. You should literally only have to perform labor for your ego. Everything else for the id should be provided by the state if there's going to be one. Otherwise, let's have pure anarchy.
Well, what if everybody just had free land and then everybody had a robot that would do all the, it's like, okay, I need a house. Okay, the robot builds you a house, the robot builds you a garden, the robot milks the cow.
Yeah, that's a great idea for a sci-fi story. God damn it. I just want to just drop everything and I want to live in a cabin in the woods and just do nothing but write about shit.
I just want to manifest this into reality by continuing to just put these ideas out there, because there's an 8-year-old kid right now who's a genius listening to us. I know it.
Hey, dude. Hey, little dude.
8-year-old future genius out there. We didn't mean to drop the F-bomb so often on the show.
Hey,
dude, they get so much worse from the degenerates teaching them.
Stay in school, little bro. I mean, just kidding. You might want to drop out.
Don't go to public school, little man.
Just look, do whatever the hell you want.
Don't take Adderall. Don't take too much Adderall.
Don't tase me, bro.
It'll F your head up, little dude. I'm telling you.
Avoid Kevin Spacey at all costs. That was just ridiculous.
Dude, can we just basically have Seth MacFarlane come give his testimony? I'm sure that's sufficient.
Yeah, seriously, man.
I can't believe the precipitous downfall of Kevin Spacey. The only allegation against it, there must be some really bad shit out there that we haven't heard yet.
And now it's Charlie Sheen, who's already going to hell, and now he's going there even faster.
The report I heard about him is that he was the predator who had sex with Corey Haim.
Just to throw a disclaimer out there, I read that story, and as far as I could tell, it's all sourced to the National Enquirer. So
yeah, I saw that.
It may or may not be legit. So just keep that in mind.
That's true, but
Sheen already denied it.
It has been a rumor for a long time, and Corey Feldman has almost confirmed it. But yeah, we don't know for sure that it was Charlie Sheen, but we do. I mean, we know that there was a predatory rink, and still is a predatory rink going on in Hollywood. And it's pretty incredible that this thing's about to get bust right open. And you can bet your ass there's a lot of very powerful, elite, rich people sitting around chewing their fingernails off right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And isn't that? I mean, that's just a wonderful thought to think of these people that have been sick predators for decades and thought that they had gotten away scot-free, and now any day now their whole lives could come crashing down. I mean, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that these people can't buy their way out of justice anymore.
Yeah, hopefully not, man. And like you were saying earlier in the show, are we going to start seeing a wave of whistleblowing? That would be amazing. I mean, look at I don't know what your guys' take is, dude, but I'm looking at this stuff going on with Donna Brazile, and her kind of coming out against the DNC and the Hillary campaign, and kind of shedding a little more light on the inner failings of what went on with all that stuff during the election. We're starting to see a little more whistleblowing, and the whole Donna Brazile thing. It wasn't even like, oh my God, it's a whistleblowing. It's just like, oh, Donna Brazile is now talking about what's going on, and it's not as big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, I literally just got an email from my mom who was talking about Donna Brazile, and she was just basically saying that, she knew she said she knew the Clintons were burnt toast. They're never going to have their day in the sun again. And a lot of liberals have done, she's talking about a 360 since, the days when Bill Clinton was, a celebrity in the old Arkansas State House. But, Donna Brazile is a big whistleblower. And, my mom was saying that she basically confirmed what the Hillary asshole supporters just would not acknowledge pathologically, and were attacking people who were supporting Bernie and Jill. And, while a lot of what Donna Brazile said we kind of already knew, she gave it a lot of credence. And I think people should give Donna Brazile I'm hugely skeptical of her because of the shit she did during the debates and feeding questions to Hillary. But I think people got to give her some credit for being an establishment figure that has now come out and confirmed what everyone knew but was denying.
Yeah, and you know what? To me, that really seems like there's more coming. I think this is the beginning of it, and for her to come out and kind of burn the backfires to protect herself on some of these revelations, I think there's going to be bigger stuff happening. A lot of things in play right now. So hopefully we give you guys some food for thought tonight. Coming up to the end of the show, thank you guys, DB and Jake, for helping me get through this hour, man. We'll be back Monday, and see you guys later. Peace.
I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing, but call it a reality cause there's no illusion.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.